debate se desarrollará en 2 días, en ambos casos de 9 a 11 de la mañana, horario argentino. El día de hoy se centrará en las adquisiciones globales del PMA y en su cadena de suministros. El día jueves que viene, 23 de julio, veremos de manera específica cómo se hacen negocios con el PMA y cómo hay que registrarse para convertirse en proveedor. Antes de comenzar, quisiera transmitirle brevemente una serie de indicaciones de carácter técnico. Las presentaciones orales de los expertos del PMA del día de hoy serán en inglés. El seminario cuenta con servicio de interpretación simultánea. Por lo tanto, quienes lo deseen pueden acceder al canal en español seleccionando esa opción, haciendo clic en el icono de interpretación que tienen en la parte inferior hacia la derecha de sus pantallas. Si quisieran volver al audio original, simplemente seleccionen la opción Off. La interacción con los panelistas será a través de la opción de preguntas y respuestas que aparece en la parte inferior de sus pantallas. Allí podrán dejar sus consultas en cualquier momento que lo deseen. Al final de las presentaciones orales, nosotros se las formularemos a los panelistas. Los alentamos a que participen y que al hacerlo nos digan a qué panelista se dirige la pregunta. Les pedimos también que se identifiquen y nos cuenten desde qué provincia nos están escribiendo y aprovechen para sacarse todas sus dudas. El seminario está siendo transmitido por el canal de YouTube de la agencia y a través de Exportar TV, y luego será subido al canal de YouTube de la Cancillería. Finalmente, queremos que sepan que el link que utilizaron para ingresar el día de hoy es el mismo que deberán usar para sesionarse el día jueves que viene, 23 de julio, para participar en la segunda parte del seminario. Ahora sí, podemos comenzar con el programa de hoy. Vamos a escuchar primero unas palabras de apertura de las autoridades de las instituciones argentinas que han organizado este seminario, para pasar luego a las presentaciones de los expertos del PMA que nos acompañan desde Roma. Le doy la palabra entonces a José Beckenstein, director de Comercio Internacional de la Agencia Argentina de Inversiones y Comercio Internacional. José, estás con el micrófono apagado.
Perdón.
Ahí está.
Buenos días a todos en Buenos Aires, buenas casi tardes en Roma. Desde la agencia les damos la bienvenida a todos los participantes, a los panelistas y al público en este seminario, que es realmente fundamental. Yo estaba viendo que el programa en este momento está sirviendo a más cantidad de gente en el mundo que en cualquier otro momento. Creo que desde la República Argentina tenemos la ocasión y el deber de poder participar en este programa en estos días tan dramáticos. Y espero que este seminario, como los otros que estamos haciendo dentro de nuestro programa de capacitación, permita a nuestras empresas participar en este plan tan fundamental hoy en día en la actual situación mundial. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, José. Tiene ahora la palabra el embajador Carlos Cherniak, representante permanente de la República Argentina ante los organismos de las Naciones Unidas en Roma.
Gracias, Gustavo. Buenos días a todas y a todos. Realmente es un honor y un placer participar de la apertura de este seminario virtual sobre el proceso de compras de alimentos del PMA, a fin que las empresas, asociaciones y demás actores productivos argentinos conozcan de primera mano los requisitos y las particularidades sobresalientes de los procesos de compra de esta agencia intergubernamental. Antes que nada, me gustaría reconocer la labor de todos los que hicieron posible la realización de este evento, realizado en conjunto entre el PMA, la Cancillería, la Agencia Argentina de Inversiones y Comercio Internacional. Para el PMA, esta es la primera vez en su historia que realiza un seminario de este calibre de manera virtual. Y en ese sentido, realmente quisiera manifestar nuestro aprecio por la responsabilidad, dedicación y disponibilidad del punto focal designado por el director ejecutivo del PMA, John Crisci, que está aquí presente en este seminario, y el resto de su equipo, muchísimas gracias. Asimismo, no menor ha sido el esfuerzo y el trabajo de la Cancillería, en la persona del subsecretario de Promoción de Comercio e Inversiones, embajador Sibori, el ministro Rutilo, y del equipo del presidente ejecutivo de la Agencia Argentina de Inversiones y Comercio Internacional, Juan Usandivaras, representado hoy por José Beckstein, y también a Luca Gioja. Y me permito también mencionar a mi compañero de equipo, Guillermo Rodolico, sin los cuales seguramente esto no hubiera sido posible. Mis felicitaciones a ellos por hacer posible este evento, por la importante convocatoria de participantes alcanzadas en el día de hoy. ¿Por qué este evento es, en mi opinión, sumamente relevante? El Programa Mundial de Alimentos de las Naciones Unidas es la mayor agencia humanitaria multilateral dedicada a un mandato muy claro, pero lamentablemente muy complejo, que es la lucha contra el hambre y la malnutrición. En un contexto de continuo crecimiento del hambre y la subalimentación, principalmente como consecuencia de la continuación de los conflictos y las crisis vinculadas al clima y a la economía, el PMA se ha convertido, por su capacidad de recursos y despliegue en el terreno, en la mayor operación de las Naciones Unidas, incluso por encima de las operaciones de paz. Existen dos datos que nos pueden ayudar a dar una idea de la relevancia del PMA en el sistema de Naciones Unidas. El primer dato que quisiera destacar es sobre los recursos. En 2019, los ingresos del Programa Mundial de Alimentos crecieron un 10% y alcanzaron un monto récord de 8.200 millones de dólares, teniendo en cuenta que ese monto se logra únicamente mediante contribuciones voluntarias. A diferencia de los organismos especializados de la ONU, ello significa que el PMA recibe contribuciones por 4 millones de dólares por hora. El segundo dato es sobre el alcance del PMA en el escenario mundial. El año pasado, el programa respondió a un número sin precedentes de emergencias humanitarias alimentarias en 20 países, trabajando en 88 países, prestó asistencia a 84 millones de personas, distribuyendo aproximadamente 13.000 millones de raciones de alimento de manera diaria. Para ello, entre otras herramientas de asistencia como la transferencia de base monetaria, recurre al mercado para la provisión de impresionantes cantidades de productos básicos, cifras que veremos juntos en las presentaciones a lo largo del seminario, y que tienen su fundamento en la misión asignada a esta agencia como brazo de ayuda alimentaria de las Naciones Unidas, encargado de la coordinación y la entrega de alimentos. Como consecuencia, el PMA es responsable año tras año de alrededor del 85% de todos los alimentos que se adquieren en el sistema de las Naciones Unidas. Y estos datos son siempre previos a la pandemia del COVID-19. Lamentablemente, con el estallido de la pandemia, el PMA, por su capacidad y por coordinar, entre otras cosas, la logística humanitaria de todas las Naciones Unidas, con barcos, aviones y camiones propios, se ha convertido en la columna vertebral en la respuesta a la pandemia, con el propósito de que la crisis sanitaria no se convierta en una crisis alimentaria. Para tratar de ser sintético y dejar pasar a mis otros colegas, yo solamente quisiera decir que el potencial en la relación de la Argentina con el PMA fue reconocido por el propio presidente de la Nación en su visita a Italia en el mes de enero de este año. En aquella oportunidad, el presidente mantuvo reunión con el director ejecutivo del PMA, David Beasley, y expresó la necesidad de profundizar los vínculos a partir del apoyo del PMA al Plan Argentina contra el Hambre y las ventajas competitivas de nuestro país en materia agroalimentaria. Asimismo, el presente seminario virtual responde a la orientación política del canciller y el secretario de Relaciones Económicas Internacionales, embajador Jorge Neme, que desde el inicio de su gestión han entendido la importancia de apoyar al sector privado argentino para que pueda vender más al exterior. Para ello comprometieron la ayuda de la Cancillería para identificar oportunidades y hacer todo lo posible a nuestro alcance para que la oferta argentina pueda competir en todos los mercados posibles. Teniendo en cuenta todos estos factores, como dije al comienzo, El objeto del seminario es brindar a las empresas y productores nacionales elementos a partir de una mejor comprensión de los requisitos y procesos para convertirse en proveedores eventuales de alimentos al PMA. Por ello, celebramos la presente convocatoria. Los invito a sacar el mejor provecho de la posibilidad de tener frente, al menos de manera virtual, a las personas responsables de llevar adelante la sensible labor de adquirir alimentos para las operaciones de asistencia alimentaria del PMA, la agencia más exitosa de Naciones Unidas en este momento. Auguramos lo mejor para las próximas 2 sesiones de 2 días. Muchísimas gracias a todos y a todas.
Muchas gracias, embajador Cherniak. Le paso la palabra al embajador Pablo Sibori, subsecretario de Promoción del Comercio e Inversiones de la Cancillería Argentina.
Bueno, muy buenos días a todos y, como dijo José, buenas tardes a quienes están en Roma. Quiero empezar por agradecer al Programa Mundial de Alimentos y fundamentalmente a los expertos que nos acompañan y también a nuestra representación en la FAO por la realización de estas 2 jornadas de capacitación. Y fundamentalmente quiero agradecer a los empresarios que participan de estas 2 jornadas porque son quienes le dan sentido a estos 2 eventos, ¿sí? Fundamentalmente lo que quiero destacar es el trabajo humanitario que realiza el Programa Mundial de Alimentos. Es importante tener presente que, como bien mencionaba el embajador Cherniak, que este Programa Mundial de Alimentos de la FAO provee seguridad alimentaria a unas 80 millones de personas en cerca de 90 países del mundo. Ahora, Argentina, como país productor de alimentos, está llamado a ser un gran aportante a este Programa Mundial de Alimentos. Tenemos que proveer al Programa Mundial de Alimentos con productos de calidad, que es lo que la Argentina produce, en la cantidad y en los precios competitivos. Creemos que nuestras empresas están en condiciones de hacerlo y por eso es que nos hemos animado y propuesto en realizar este programa que inicia hoy y que obviamente tiene una jornada el 23. Quiero fundamentalmente agradecer a las empresas que participan de este programa por el interés que han manifestado y sobre todo por tomarse estos días para conocer los detalles de cómo participar. Algunos datos de magnitud que ya se han mencionado: el Programa Mundial de Alimentos maneja un presupuesto anual de cerca de los 2.000 millones de dólares, ¿sí? Y está presente en 90 países del mundo. Es importante tener presente que el 80% de estos países son países en desarrollo. Bueno, hacemos esta actividad con el convencimiento de que las empresas argentinas están en condiciones de participar del Programa Mundial de Alimentos, ¿sí? Entendemos que el Programa Mundial de Alimentos, a partir de sus políticas de transparencia, implica cumplir con distintos requisitos, presentar información y obviamente participar en las licitaciones del programa. Todos aspectos que a veces son considerados barreras, pero entendemos que son necesarios y creemos además que nuestras empresas están en condiciones y tienen la capacidad para cumplir con ellos. Ya hay empresas argentinas que son proveedoras del Programa Mundial de Alimentos. Ahora estamos convencidos de que pueden y deben ser muchas más, ¿sí? Estos 2 días de capacitación van en ese sentido. Buscamos que ustedes, los empresarios que participan, aprovechen la presencia de los expertos del PMA, fundamentalmente de aquellos que tienen bajo su responsabilidad llevar adelante los procesos de adquisiciones, para presentar sus inquietudes y salvar las dudas que tengan a los efectos de que la Argentina pueda participar con una mayor cantidad de empresas como proveedoras del PMA y que fundamentalmente el país en su conjunto tenga un gran aporte a esta actividad fundamental que realiza Naciones Unidas en términos de los más necesitados. Somos un país que produce alimentos, que tiene tal vez la agricultura más competitiva del mundo y debemos tomar la responsabilidad también de ser proveedores de un programa que asiste, como yo dije, a cerca de 80 millones de personas. Como repetía anteriormente, esa es nuestra intención, poner a disposición de las empresas argentinas el conocimiento, los requisitos, los procesos que hay que cumplir para ser proveedores del Programa Mundial de Alimentos, y por supuesto quiero dejar en claro que cuenten con la Cancillería Argentina para transitar este proceso. En esta instancia, para conocer cuáles son los requisitos, la documentación y los procesos, pero obviamente luego en el proceso de inscripción y de presentación de documentación, no duden en que la Argentina y la Cancillería Argentina va a estar para apoyarlos y para acompañar este proceso. No tenemos duda que la Argentina, como proveedor de alimentos, está destinada a ser un gran jugador en el mercado mundial, ya sea a través de exportaciones en el marco del mundo privado, pero también como proveedor en el marco de las compras institucionales, ya sean en el caso como en el que estamos presentando hoy el día del Programa Mundial de Alimentos, o como otras situaciones de compras institucionales de gobiernos. Ese es el camino por el cual la Cancillería quiere acompañar a las empresas argentinas. Tenemos el compromiso de construir un vínculo fuerte y sostenido con el sector privado para aumentar las exportaciones argentinas. Este es uno de los pasos por el cual queremos avanzar. Nuestro compromiso y voluntad es de trabajar junto al sector privado para allanarle este camino y lograr que la Argentina tenga una inserción cada vez más profunda y fuerte en los mercados internacionales. Sin más, solo agradecerles y desearles 2 muy buenas jornadas y que sean de mucho aporte para que la Argentina pueda tener más presencia como proveedor del Programa Mundial de Alimentos. Muchas gracias y muy buenas jornadas.
Muchas gracias, embajador Siori. Ahora sí, pasamos a las presentaciones de los expertos del PMA con un breve video introductorio. Bueno, inspirador. Ahora sí, nuestro primer panelista del día de hoy es el señor John Creasy, director interino de la cadena de suministros del PMA. El señor Creasy ha prestado funciones en varios puestos en el terreno, en todo el mundo, incluyendo en Sudán, la República del Congo y Sierra Leona. Más recientemente, en su actual posición, mantuvo el funcionamiento eficiente de la cadena de suministros frente a los múltiples desafíos mundiales planteados por la pandemia de COVID-19, permitiendo que el PMA pueda asistir con alimentos a más de 100 millones de personas, a menudo en algunos de los contextos de emergencia más desafiantes posibles, conflicto, desastres naturales, cambio climático y colapso económico, o una combinación de estos. John tiene más de 27 años de experiencia en gestión general, desarrollo de negocios y gestión de riesgos, y nos va a ofrecer un panorama general de la cadena de suministros del PMA. John, usted tiene la palabra.
Before I start, a good afternoon to those who are tuning in from Europe, and a special good morning to those tuning in from beautiful Argentina. Today is not just a pleasure, but it's a real honor to have this joint seminar together with the Argentinian government. We hope that within these 2 days, we will be able to build close ties with different traders and suppliers, but not on a business relationship, on a partner relationship. This is what WFP creates, partners. We're hoping we can bring you closer, understand our mandate, or let's say global mandate, and help us succeed with eradicating hunger in 2030. Before I go any further, I would like to say Alex Marinelli, the acting director of supply chain, sends his apologies for not being able to make this session. Unfortunately, he was called to another meeting regarding COVID-19. He's hoping to join us for the second session 2 days from now and help with the closing remarks. He sends his utmost best wishes and wishes a successful seminar during these 2 days. With that being said, a little bit about the World Food Program. We are the largest humanitarian organization in the world. Last year alone, we raised over $8 billion voluntarily. Of that $8 billion, 6.65% goes to administrative costs. The remaining is spent all in the field. We have a workforce of about 16,000 worldwide, with about 10% in our country offices, in our HQ, our headquarters in Rome, with the remaining in the field. So that gives you an idea. We're spread out in about 100 different country offices worldwide, together with regional bureaus and liaison offices. The slide which is before us today gives you a little bit of an idea of how big we are in terms of capacity. You know, we have up to 92 airplanes flying at any given time. During COVID-19, I believe we reached 120. We have over 60 vessels on the high seas at any given time. 5,400 trucks moving 24/7 on any given day to reach the 100 million that we're feeding. With the current outbreak of COVID-19, we have now a new planning figure of over 120 million beneficiaries worldwide. Just staying with this slide and some other numbers I have, just to give you an idea of the mandate, the size of our mandate, the magnitude, as was mentioned in the opening remarks. Last year alone, we delivered 4.4 million metric tons of food. That's equivalent to 305 Leaning Towers of Pisa. Our planes flew over 20 million kilometers. That's 52 times around the globe. On any given hour, we purchase on average 400 metric tons of food. And our trucks traveled about 8.4 million miles last year. So this gives you a little bit to tell you the size of how big the World Food Program is, the assets that we use to reach over 100 million people in over 100 countries worldwide. Mauricio, if you could go to the next slide, please. This here gives you a little bit of what makes up the supply chain itself. We have, you know, our UNHAS, which is our humanitarian air service, logistics. We have our own risk insurance. Basically, all the food that travels we buy is insured by a self-insurance scheme. We have goods and services procurement, which we purchase close to 1 billion a year for. I'm certain that this year we will reach over 1 billion in goods and services, and that's ranging from anything from vehicles to health equipment to office equipment to different contracts with different expertise that we go out and hire. Bilateral service provision. We do work for governments and partners and even private donors who ask us to intervene and provide our services in helping them help us with our mandate. Shipping, we have, you know, we're known to have one of the biggest shipping outfits in the world. If we look at it, we're well into the top 25. Last year alone, we did roughly 4 million metric tons because we have many shuttle shipping services for Yemen, for Somalia, are our primary shuttle services. Also, we do passenger service for Yemen with our chartered vessels moving from Djibouti back and forth. We have the health supply chain, where we do things for WHO, different NGOs, cold storage, so on and so forth. Some of the supporting offices within the supply chain are like business support. They oversee finance and budget. We have logistics cluster. The purpose of the logistics cluster is to bring about efficiency on transport assets, on the way money is being spent in order to intervene in emergency. So basically, they're the coordinators, ensuring that a plane flies full or a truck is loaded, that we don't buy too much of one item and not enough of another. So basically, they bring together all our NGO partners and put a plan together and allow, you know, for doing proper planning to make sure that we don't have excess and shortfall. So we try to do the best efficiency possible. Planning, we also do planning. Every year we do our yearly plan, but that plan on what we're going to buy is basically regularly adjusted. As you know, we're an emergency driven organization. Just to give you some figures, out of the 8 billion that we received last year, about 80% of that went to man-made disasters. So it gives you an idea. So the goalposts, if I could say, or the parameters are forever changing. And now with COVID-19, I'm sure that that will be well over the 8 billion. We have cash-based transfer programs. These programs are designed where people do not have purchasing capacity, but with us coming in with food, we would only disrupt the local food market, having a negative impact. So what we do is we provide cash vouchers, allowing them to go to supermarkets, to markets, and buy their food. UNHRD, United Nations Humanitarian Response Depot. There are basically 7 of them in the world, in Africa, Asia, one in Panama also, where partners can store and UN agencies can store immediate response equipment when an emergency breaks. For us, for example, we do store nutritious foods there and also high energy biscuits. Aviation, providing air service when needed. We try to use air service as little as possible because of the great cost, but when needed, when roads are cut off or commercial airlines do not go to certain places, we intervene with our own planes and fly, whether it be personnel or whether it be food or non-food items that are needed to assist those in need. Last but not least, vendor management, which is very important also for this session. because there will be a session on vendor management that talks about registration, and basically they're responsible for looking at the standardized process for applying, getting on the roster, due diligence, carrying the process all the way to the vendor management committee. So as you can see, it's a big puzzle, but it does come together, you know, just with the numbers that I shared with the audience earlier. It gives you an idea how we all synchronize together to work together. And this is what we're hoping to do with our new partners from Argentina when we start working together, and they're assisting us in trying to meet this global cause called food insecurity. Next slide, please. Okay, bear with me 1 second. Okay. So as I mentioned on the food side, as mentioned, you know, there is some great interest with the Argentinian suppliers to work with us, and you couldn't come at a better time. Last year alone, we purchased 3.5 million metric tons for a value of $1.7 billion. And of that, 80% came from developing countries. As I mentioned, our needs have been readjusted because of COVID-19. Our planning figure was around 100 million prior to COVID-19. Now we're over 120 million, meaning additional food requirements are needed. The basic commodities, and Kanjit, the chief of food procurement, will go into that, but we buy a lot of staple food commodities such as wheat, maize, rice, sorghum for the cereal side, oil, and different types of pulses, salt, and then SNF, supplementary nutritious foods. So that gives you an idea how big the share of the market that we're coming into. On top of that, and there'll be a session in the coming months, is also we're looking at strengthening our smallholder farmer, where we're providing incentives to work with suppliers in providing a premium to the smallholder farmers to bring about incentives and encouragement for them to continue in the agriculture sector. There's two ways of looking at it. The food that could be purchased under this premium could be used locally, whether for capacity building, such as school feeding, or different other types of interventions, or it could be purchased to be exported. What we're trying to do here with the smallholder farmer is to try and remove the transactions within the value chain. More hands the cargo changes, the less is left for the farmer. So what we're trying to do is we'll never get to the farm gate, but what we'll be able to do is to try and remove as many of those trader transactions in the middle in order to get to provide a good price. So we might look at working with small farming co-ops, so on and so forth. So that's a little bit on the food side. As I said, Kanjit will come in after me, and she will be providing a bit more information on that in more detail. Okay, next slide, Mauricio. Okay, so this is goods and services. So we're not only about food. We do buy enormous amount of goods and services, not only for WFP, but also for our partners, for the private sector, and even for our donors. Last year alone, we spent almost $0.8 billion in goods and services. As I mentioned, with COVID-19, we should be well over the $1 billion mark. So we'll be having a session on that in the coming months, and hoping that suppliers will also come forward from the goods and service side. We buy about 276 types of services and goods. That's ranging anywhere from cranes to basically pencils, all the way down. On top of that, we do buy a lot of IT service. We also buy a lot of expertise service. We use a lot of, not a lot, but we use when needed consultancy groups also to come in to do studies or evaluations for us for different projects. On top of that, we buy from about over 150 countries. I'm sure now that with COVID-19, we will be at 200 countries and plus. So this gives you a little bit of a flavor, a little bit of a taste of what the World Food Program does. It gives you an idea of the magnitude and how big we are in terms of what we purchase and the assets that we use in order to move, not just our mechanical assets, but also a large workforce and, how well we're spread out. Just to give one last number I'd like to give you alone is that our delivery points worldwide are probably 100,000 today. And with that, we have about 20,000 storage locations worldwide. So it gives you a real good idea of the magnitude. I will stop here. I guess we'll take questions at the end, and I will hand over to Kanji now. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, señor Krishi. Ahora recuerden que pueden ir dejando sus consultas y comentarios en el icono de preguntas y respuestas que aparece abajo de sus pantallas. Y ahora pasamos a nuestra segunda panelista y última panelista del día de hoy, la señora Conchit Kitán. La señora Kitán es jefa de compras del PMA, donde supervisa las unidades de gestión de proveedores de alimentos, bienes y servicios. Tiene una amplia trayectoria en el PMA de casi 25 años y ha trabajado en operaciones de emergencia como Afganistán, Irak y Sudán del Sur y programas de largo alcance de ayuda y desarrollo en Etiopía, Kenia, Sudán, Tanzania y Uganda. Actualmente Conchit gestiona todas las adquisiciones de alimentos, bienes y servicios realizados por el PMA, asegurando un proceso competitivo y transparente en todas sus operaciones y lidera el desarrollo estratégico del abastecimiento sostenible de alimentos, bienes y servicios, al tiempo que impulsa la implementación de políticas de compras locales y regionales. La señora Kitán es de nacionalidad etíope, posee una maestría en Administración de Empresas en Gestión de Proyectos de la Universidad de Preston y una licenciatura en Matemáticas en la Universidad de Addis Abeba. Conchit, usted tiene la palabra.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank the organizers, in particular the ambassador, to approach WFP to organize this meeting. It's very important as WFP is confronted with a huge challenge and responsibility due to the emergency that we all are encountering right now. I would like to apologize. I could not be able to come on video due to some technical errors. I hope next time I'll make sure that it would be adjusted. As my colleague, Mr. John Creasy, has expressed or explained what would be the WFP's role in achieving zero hunger, WFP has undertaken a huge responsibility in terms of supporting governments to achieve their SDG goals, in particular SDG 2, ending hunger by 2030. WFP is also actively engaged on SDG 17, supporting governments and humanitarian actors in terms of achieving their SDGs. So it's huge responsibility that WFP has undertaken, and we extremely value the importance of partnership with the private sector to achieve our goal. Without that, we will not be able to achieve our objectives and our goal. For that reason, I really want to thank the suppliers who are on board and also the organizers to take this initiative in approaching WFP. procurement in WFP plays an important role. 8 billion, which is contributed by volunteer donors, about 30% is spent in procurement. This is procurement of food plus procurement of goods and services. As this meeting is specifically related to food, I will only emphasize on the food procurement, and the next session will also touch base on goods and services. The goods and services is drastically increasing because of the COVID pandemic, where WFP went and purchased new items like the PPE, OHI, new thing completely to us, and we'd expect that we'll do more of those. As a reliable partner for the humanitarian actors, when emergency happens, they try to lean on WFP procurement and logistics expertise, and that's what WFP is all about. We bring our unique expertise in food procurement and ocean transport to support WFP operation. Close to 90 countries. We support global operation by sourcing commodities from international market, regional market, and local market. I'll go more in details what it means, regional market, how it's managed, and regional and local market. More and more, the governments are also approaching WFP to support them on food procurement, particularly countries who are confronted with a huge inflation or local crisis. They rely on WFP procurement capacity, and we've been providing services for many countries, including Southern America, due to the COVID. So what's our primary objective? Is to procure the right food at the right time, the right place, at the lowest possible price to supply WFP beneficiaries. Being a volunteer-based organization where the funding comes based on the donors, we give high importance in transparency, accountability, cost effectiveness, and competitiveness. How do we do it? In collaboration with external stakeholders who are experts in food. WFP food procurement use market intelligence to develop sourcing strategy, which define the optimal time to buy the different commodities in various locations. When we are operating in close to 90 countries, it's extremely important when to buy, where to buy, how to deliver, and especially during the emergency, we need to be better prepared to respond to emergency, which has a very short delivery period. We work in South Sudan, where access is a big challenge. We work in conflict areas. Access can be closed anytime. So for procurement, planning, forward-looking planning is extremely important, and we rely so much on our partners. The food procurement unit is responsible for buying commodities locally, regionally, and internationally. Because of the proximity, in times of crisis, if the food is available close to the people we serve, we tend to buy locally. When the situation permits and the cost is favorable, we buy internationally and also regionally. The procurement is organized in decentralized form. Next slide, please. We buy, sorry, just give me 1 minute. I have to change it to my English presentation. Okay. Next slide. Yeah. So the global food procurement, we purchased 3.5 million in 2019. worth of 1.7 billion. We buy in headquarter procurement. We do have a fully fledged operational unit, which mainly engage on international purchase. In 2019, we bought 1.6 million, close to 50% what WFP has delivered, a worth of $862 million US. The field procurement, which comprise of the regional bureau and also the country office, we purchased about 830 million worth of food commodities, 1.84 million metric tons of food. For WFP to carry out this operation in close to 90 countries, we have 6 regional bureaus, and our regional bureau for Southern America or Central America is in Panama City, as most of you know, and we're supporting about 11 countries in the region. So the procurement experts in country office, regional bureau, and headquarter develop and maintain short list of qualified suppliers to source commodities. In our Thursday session, we'll be able to cover how suppliers are shortlisted. Our vendor management team who is on board right now will take you through what are the procedures to select the suppliers. And what do we buy? It's mostly cereals and pulses. I'll also provide you the breakdown as we move forward. How many suppliers do we have right now? About 642 food vendors. These are mapped globally. Some are large suppliers who are very, very familiar on WFP operation. They have been working with us for many years, and we really rely on their efficiency. And some are also a small to medium business food producers who are close to the beneficiaries. As much as we focus to move the 3.5 million metric ton of food, we also rely working with a small and medium and smallholder farmers to ensure WFP injects in the economy so that it can support the food system. To deliver all this food, the 3.5 million, we use all means of transport. When it's convenient, we use sea. You have seen the ships. We use a river. We use overland by trucks. We use air operation. In worst case scenario, we also use animals to deliver. So by doing so, last year alone, we reached about 97 million food insecure population globally. A huge challenge, but because of the partners and the donors working with us, we are able to achieve our goals. Slide 3. Mauricio, next, please. We're trying to show how the food need has been increasing. As most of you have noticed, the global crisis, whether conflict or natural disaster, we are experiencing unprecedented humanitarian crisis. As a result of that, WFP food assistance has dramatically increased for the last 5 years. In 2015, we were spending about 1 billion on food assistance. Now, in 2019, 1.7 billion. The pandemic, what we are experiencing right now, is not improving the situation. It's worsening the situation, in particular on food security and malnutrition. We are expecting additional 35 million people would fall below the poverty line. So the only way for WFP to meet our objective is to increase our supplier. Potential suppliers would be able to work with us as a partner to achieve this huge challenge ahead of us. The food procurement ensures that appropriate food commodities are available to beneficiaries in a timely and cost-effective manner, whilst ensuring all purchases are fair and transparent. Next slide, please. This gives you much more the breakdown of the food commodities, what we are purchasing. The main commodities, the staple food are wheat flour, wheat, rice, maize, sorghum, and also pulses is also one of the most important food commodities. Of late, as the malnutrition situation is getting worse, WFP has come up with a specialized nutritious food to support or as an intervention for addressing malnutrition. This is a specialized nutritious food, which we have very limited supplier, but is one of the most important food basket for WFP to achieve our goal by 2030. So we'd be extremely happy to interact with suppliers who are producing such kind of commodities. Not only that, the one which I mentioned earlier on, we would be looking and approaching suppliers who are committed to supply WFP of such an important food basket. In 2019, WFP purchased 84 types of food commodities from 93 countries for the delivery of about 70 recipient countries. So in a nutshell, that is what WFP is doing. But I would not stop without mentioning one important element WFP is doing on local and regional procurement. As part of the SDG goals, WFP is committed more than any time to strengthen the food system. The food system is extremely important in ensuring food security where WFP operates. As a result of that, WFP is committed to support local economy, stimulate agricultural production, and reduce lead time by procuring food from smallholder farmers. In 2019, over 96,000 metric tons of food commodities were purchased from smallholder farmers, representing a total value of 37 million. Why do we emphasize this? As WFP continue buying from smallholder farmers, would see the impact on strengthening the food system. The Executive Board approved the new local and regional procurement policy in November 2019, which is now in the implementation stage. This will increase local procurement, particularly from smallholder farmers, while still taking into consideration the cost efficiency decision that drive food procurement. We'll be more than willing to work with suppliers, more than willing to work with the governments who have made a commitment to support the smallholder farmers, particularly linking them with their social safety programs, like school meal program. We do have the expertise of the procurement. We can support you in that area. We can also purchase as deemed necessary. Argentina, the country, is, in terms of location, is proximity to the African countries where WFP has operation. And also, because of the COVID, an increased number of affected population in Southern and Central America would give a high opportunity for Argentinian suppliers to work with WFP. I think with this, I would conclude my presentation. If you have any question, you are most welcome. Thank you very much for listening.
Muchas gracias, Conhit. Sí, tenemos varias preguntas que nos han hecho llegar desde distintas provincias argentinas. Si les parece, puedo agrupar de a 3 preguntas. Tanto John como Conhit pueden responderlas. También trataré de agrupar algunas de las preguntas de los asistentes que tienen contenido similar. Varias personas nos han preguntado dónde se puede acceder al listado de productos que compra el PMA. ¿Cuáles son los alimentos que compra el PMA? Un segundo tipo de preguntas tiene que ver con el tamaño de los proveedores. Si solamente compran a grandes proveedores o también a pequeñas y medianas empresas. Y en todo caso, ¿cómo puede una pequeña o mediana empresa convertirse en proveedor del PMA? También preguntas que tienen que ver, me parece a mí, con contenidos que vamos a abordar el día jueves. Es cómo convertirse en un proveedor del PMA. ¿Cuáles son los pasos que hay que seguir? Esto, como decía, lo vamos a ver en profundidad el día jueves, pero a lo mejor pueden darnos un pequeño panorama inicial. John, Conhit?
Okay. On the question about buying from suppliers, we look at all types of suppliers, really. For international, at one time we were working with the big ones like Cargill and Glencore, but now we're even moving into medium-sized suppliers. You know, we're buying lots of 5,000 metric tons from smaller suppliers, whereas from the Cargills and the Glencore, we were buying up to 100,000. So we are looking at different options of buying from medium suppliers. We are also giving as much emphasis as we can on buying from developing countries. So it's not only for the big global suppliers. There is room for medium suppliers. The smaller suppliers, we use them more for local purchase and cross-border operations. We give them also a chance, especially in Africa, where we buy small lots from the small suppliers, and they're either consumed internally or across the border. So there is possibility for all. One thing that wasn't mentioned, and this is something to keep in mind, was, and this is why this seminar couldn't come at a better time. If we look at Africa alone, what it's going through with COVID, the drought, and the locusts, the harvests in the Horn in South Africa and West Africa are heavily affected. So we will need to move to other sources, because when a country has a food deficit of a particular commodity, we don't buy that commodity in the country. We would only worsen the situation competing against the locals. You know, this would then cause inflation, so on and so forth. So we are going to look at every option that's open for us in terms of buying. Even when just something, and we'll get into this when they start talking about how we do the contracting, how the sourcing is done, so on and so forth. But, you know, even if a tender comes to a supplier for 10,000 metric tons and they can't put forward 10,000, but can put forward 2,500, we look at that offer. It's not said that we buy one batch from one supplier. We buy sometimes the entire quantity from multiple suppliers. A lot of it has to do with, as my colleague said, cost, but also quality. Today, you know, we buy what beneficiaries want. It's so important, and this is what the donors are asking us. So it's quality also, price plays a role, but it's what the beneficiary wants. So there's room for everyone, let me put it that way.
Gracias, John. Y había preguntas específicas en cuanto a los tipos de productos. Menciono algunas. ¿Compra el PMA frutas y hortalizas? ¿Compra el PMA leche en polvo o fórmulas infantiles? ¿Compra el PMA miel? ¿Y cuáles son, si nos pueden decir, cuáles son los alimentos más demandados, más comprados por el PMA?
All right, I'll take a bit of this, and I'm sure that Kanjit will want to come in. The big commodities that we buy are staple foods, as we mentioned, dry foods, which consists of cereals, and a great portion of that is non-GMO. We only have, 3 countries that accept GMO. The others, much of Africa, outside of Sudan and Ethiopia and Yemen, accept GMO. The others all accept non-GMO, only accept non-GMO. Let me be very clear about that, only non-GMO. But the big commodities, as Kanjit mentioned, are wheat or processed wheat into wheat flour, rice, maize, sorghum are the big cereals. We buy some barley. We buy different types of pulses. We look at red beans, chickpeas, split peas. So we look at a wide range, white beans. Given the vasticity of our operations, there's different eating habits in different countries. We can provide you a list of what's on our commodity list. Oils, we buy palmoline oil, but we're trying to buy as much sustainable palmoline oil as possible. We're really trying to move away from unsustainable. And we've increased that by over 20%, and we hope to eventually eliminate. On top of that, we're moving to more sunflower oil. We're buying more sunflower oil, and we find that beneficiaries in the Middle East prefer sunflower oil over palmoline oil. Baby formula foods, yes, it's very big on demand. We are having problems finding enough supplementary feeding mix for expecting mothers, nursing mothers, and small children. So we're looking at all options. Unfortunately, we had 2 incidences with 2 suppliers, which were banned from WFP, and we're looking for different options in these areas. Unfortunately, honey, I have never heard. Fresh fruits and vegetables, what we find is, especially in the South America, Latin America region, it's starting to work, but it's very local. It's more for school feeding programs, where we're asked to buy food for the government to deliver to schools. Their fresh fruits and vegetables are being requested. We are still in the pilot phase of that. We are learning as we go on. We're working with different governments. Our biggest concern is the quality. We're responsible for the quality. And so we're exploring in that area in different countries in Latin America. So the option is open. If it would be something, it could be discussed if it would be something that's within the country for a capacity building program, but try to move it cross border or in containers or things like that would be practically impossible. See, what we're doing also, as I mentioned in the cash voucher program, that gives beneficiaries the possibility to buy not only the staple foods but also the fresh vegetables and fruits. And then what we will do is we will share with the Secretariat the list of the commodities that we buy. Okay.
Gracias, John. Conjit, ¿quieres agregar algo? Vamos a pasar al siguiente set de preguntas. Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think John has covered extensively, but one important element that we should keep in mind is WFP has 2 ways of addressing food insecurity. One is buying food in kind and deliver from surplus area to deficit areas. but also the cash-based transfer is one of the new tools coming up and increasing significantly. So the purpose of having the cash-based transfer is making sure we inject cash if the local production is functioning well. So in that area, we are trying to link up all suppliers to make sure the market is responding to the amount of money what WFP is injecting on that local market. We don't have an operation, but you could look at on the cross-border operation where WFP has a cash-based transfer. Again, the situation is changing dramatically, as you can see. It's not business as usual. We continuously review how we should look at our tools and mechanism to address food insecurity. So as things develop, there would be an opportunity to discuss over.
Perfecto, muchas gracias. Hay varios asistentes que han consultado sobre la posibilidad de tener las presentaciones, los slides que hemos visto. Van a estar colgados en el Argentina Dragnet, el portal de exportaciones de la Cancillería. También al concluir el seminario van a recibir una encuesta, van a recibir una notificación para completar una respuesta. Aquellos que las respondan, también automáticamente les podemos enviar entonces las presentaciones. Tenemos muchas consultas, también nuevas consultas sobre productos específicos. Nos preguntan si el PMA quiere productos orgánicos, también si adquiere productos sin TAC, gluten-free, y alimentos sin azúcar. Creo que tanto con Jit como John hicieron un repaso sobre los volúmenes que compran, pero sí también pueden repasar un poco eso.
The commodities I heard, gluten-free, no, we're not that far advanced, given the amount of tonnage we work with. Sugar-free products, no. We only work really with one, well, we work with a couple of processed foods. And Kanji, please come in because I always forget things. You have a better knack for remembering. The nutritious supplementary foods is one of the biggest commodities or products that we buy, which is processed, corn-based with a mix of proteins, fat-based lipids, so on and so forth. We have different products. We have Super Cereal Plus, we call it, which is a commodity that was basically designed for our interventions. Second to that, we buy LNS, which is lipid-based. And then we buy our USF, which is a ready-to-use, utilized food. On top of that, also, we're very big into buying biscuits. But we've never had a request for gluten-free biscuits for children in schools. We've never had a request for sugar-free biscuits. But it could be something that, as we move on, it's something that can be looked at. But at the time right now, we don't buy these things, but it would be something to introduce to our commodity. We have a panel which looks at new commodities coming on board, and it could be something that could be put forward to that panel to see if there is a requirement out there for such commodities. But right now, from my taking, no. Kanjit?
No further comments. John, you have covered it. The most important is the SNF, specialized nutritious food. It's basically fortified cereals. Over.
Yeah.
Muchas gracias. Siguen siendo preguntas sobre tipos de alimentos. Una de ellas es frutos secos, nueces, maníes, también pescados y alimentos congelados. Quisiéramos saber si el PMA compra agua, agua potable. Y leche larga vida, alfajores, golosinas. Si pueden responder esas. Gracias.
Yeah. Yes. Unfortunately, no. We don't buy these commodities. They're very sophisticated commodities. We're more in the life-saving, capacity building. We don't buy it also because we don't have the facilities to store such commodities. The conditions are so harsh where we work. You know, we work with these polytarped rub hulls, you know, under excruciating heat of 40%. We're just starting to move into some areas of cold chain storage, or, you know, climate control storage for SNF. So unfortunately, no, we don't buy those types of commodities. They're not in our basket. They would only be in a special case where a government wants to link it to a program and they ask us to intervene. As I mentioned, you know, we've moved way outside of our boundaries, getting into fresh fruits and vegetables. Over.
Muchas gracias. Tenemos varias consultas. En cuanto a las condiciones y el formato, los envases y cómo tienen que hacer los productores para vender sus productos, esas especificaciones, ¿en qué momento llegan? Me imagino que una vez que uno está registrado y recibe los pedidos, ahí se deben especificar todos los aspectos técnicos de los envíos, ¿correcto?
Kanji, you want to take that one?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll cover all this in details on Thursday. The short answer is, when the quotation is, first the supplier has to be shortlisted. So for the supplier to be shortlisted, there are certain criteria and parameters. Once they are shortlisted as WFP food supplier, meeting the parameter, and whenever we send out the request for offer, we would be much specific on the package, the size, what needs to be written on the package, all that details, the delivery terms, all that would be included on the quotation. But at that point, would be able to communicate with suppliers. Definitely, a packaging is one important element. We're moving more and more in terms of delivering food commodities that sustain the environment which they are exposed. We are working in Afghanistan, where is no cooling temperature. We are working in Somalia. We are working in all these places. So the specification for the packaging is becoming much more stricter to ensure that the quality and the content of the food what we are delivering would sustain the exposure to heat or whatever it is during transportation. Over.
Muchas gracias. Tres productos más que nos han consultado. Tipos de arroz que compra el PMA, si compran huevo en polvo y si compran quinoa. Por otro lado, consultan los productores si el PMA suscribe contratos de abastecimiento, estableciendo un programa de abastecimiento, lo cual permite prever volúmenes para proveer al PMA, dar una cierta regularidad y previsibilidad a las compras.
We do, but oh, sorry. Kanjit, are you coming in?
Okay. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We do contracts, but I don't want to say anything now because it will be in the session on Thursday. They'll talk about the different types of contracting. On the rice, we buy different types of rice. For that, we will have, in the opening remarks, we'll give you a list of the different types of rices we buy because there is such a wide range and we buy different types of rice for different types of region, you know, X amount broken, stickiness, so on and so forth. So we will carry that question back with us and provide that information prior to moving forward with the presentation on Thursday. Okay.
Excelente. Sí, muchas de las preguntas a lo mejor no las estoy transmitiendo porque vamos a cubrir en extenso todo lo que tiene que ver con cómo convertirse en proveedor del PMA, cómo son las licitaciones, cómo hay que registrarse. Eso lo vamos a cubrir específicamente el día jueves con expertos dedicados a esto. Nos preguntan si el PMA compra carnes, legumbres, garbanzo, poroto, si solamente adquiere alimentos para consumo humano o también para consumo animal.
The last question was on quinua, if I remember, a type of, and I believe we have bought it before. I remember seeing something in a contract. I want to check that when I go back. Meat, the closest we get to meat is canned meat, and could be canned beef, could be canned chicken, or we buy canned fish. So all the meats that we buy basically are all canned. These are the types of canned meats that we buy. They're used a lot in our big operations in the Middle East, where we give these family rations with pasta, tomato sauce, so on and so forth. And in there's also the canned meats, which could either be fish or poultry or beef. Was there another commodity asked? Sorry.
No sé si respondieron la pregunta sobre huevo en polvo y sobre agua mineral.
No, we don't buy those commodities. The closest we've got to transporting liquids was providing liquid milk to children in Syria in the schools. So we really try to stay away from transporting liquids. The closest liquid we do right now is oil.
Okay. También nos preguntan dónde está el hub o cuál es la oficina regional más importante del PMA en América del Sur o en América Latina.
It's in Panama City. That's the regional bureau. And they have their own procurement team there that's responsible for providing support for regional purchase or international purchase, local purchase. On the international purchase side, it's Rome. We encourage the vendors to reach out to the regional bureaus with questions and also to reach out to Rome. Our names are all here, and we would look forward to the vendors reaching out to us with questions and queries. And we look at always providing hand-holding support to help suppliers move forward to getting on the roster, so on and so forth. But we'll get into this more in detail in the next couple of days.
Excelente. Y nos llegan algunas preguntas que no tienen que ver con alimentos, bolsas orgánicas, ropa descartable, provisión de servicios. Les cuento que tenemos pensado, como habrán visto en la presentación de John, el PMA compra un enorme volumen de bienes y servicios que no son alimentos, por un valor cercano, creo que, si mal no recuerdo, a unos 800 millones de dólares anuales, que abarcan desde transporte, logística, servicios de todo tipo y bienes que no son alimentos. Así que hemos conversado sobre la posibilidad de hacer un seminario específico también para esos otros sectores, ya se enterarán, pero bueno, aprovechando que están John y Conjit, a lo mejor pueden también darnos un panorama sobre estos productos específicos. Son bolsas ecológicas, ropa descartable, servicios de traducción.
Conjit?
Okay, thanks, John.
Yeah.
When it comes to goods and services, it's basically making sure WFP operation will continue. It's a support unit that would buy for the program implementation. What does that mean? For a simple example, in any operation, we need to have a storage, mobile storage. We need to have pallets. We need to have PP bags for reconstruction when the bag it's damaged. So anything related for supporting WFP operation, that falls under goods and services procurement. This is as far as food procurement is concerned and support of the food intervention. But we go much more beyond that. When the country is in crisis, they may need to buy a specialized mechanical things, not necessarily to move food, or humanitarian partners, they would request WFP to buy certain unique kind of things. That kind of things is also purchased by WFP. So the non-food items and the services, it's a broad range of items. The service part goes from buying internet, consultancy service for analysis, or it could be many things. So it's a very wide range of procurement is happening in goods and services. I think it itself deserves another session so that we can show you what are the items that WFP would purchase. But usually this is practical when WFP has an operation in that specific country. Otherwise, for a large procurement, we need to have a bigger supplier who would be able to buy large number of bags or mobile warehouses or pallets. So that can be done. I think we'll cover it more in another session. Over.
If I could come in to add, we get into services as big as rehabilitating ports, from elevators to cranes, railways, highways. A lot of it depends on access into countries and donor interest, but it gives you an idea of the range of things that we do. There was also a question on disposable garments, and I don't know if they're referring to medical garments like PPEs for COVID-19 and things like that. Those things, yes, definitely, and I think that we're still going to need them for the time to come. We can find enough, but there's never enough suppliers out there, and with the fear that another wave could come in the countries that are in phase 3 now, the need will be there. Over.
Muchas gracias. Tengo otro pequeño listado de productos. Tengo otro pequeño listado de productos de consultas. Mermelada, azúcar, puré de frutas y harina de arroz, si el PMA compra. Eso por un lado. Por otro lado, si tienen ustedes a mano el listado de empresas argentinas que ya son proveedoras del PMA. Si no lo tienen a mano, a lo mejor en la sesión del jueves nos pueden proveer ese dato. Y bueno, y nos pregunta también cómo ponerse en contacto con el PMA para ofrecer sus productos. Creo que también se va a cubrir extensamente el jueves, pero también nos pueden adelantar una respuesta.
Kanjit?
Thanks, John. Just to give you a flavor, what WFP has purchased from the Argentinian suppliers in 2019, we bought about 1.5 million worth of food commodities. This may not be directly from Argentinian suppliers. It could be the Argentinian supplier supplying for another supplier who is in Turkey. But all in all, what we purchased is about 1.5 million. As this kind of discussion continues, and the more the suppliers have access how WFP operates and what kind of items we're buying, and the operation in Southern America and Central America is increasing, I believe that we'll be able to directly engage with Argentinian suppliers and we'll be able to buy more. I think this is the beginning of this discussion. I believe that we'll have more of those so that we can engage the Argentinian suppliers as a strategic partner because of the proximity, because of the availability of certain items that we're looking at. On the non-food items, one thing we need to keep in mind is one of the biggest challenge most of the developing countries are facing is post-harvest losses. So as you may be aware that there are a certain kind of bags which are specifically designed to reduce the post-harvest losses. WFP is going in that direction, maybe not now, but we would be able to facilitate and link you up with others who are working in a post-harvest losses. And if you have advanced mechanism in terms of reducing post-harvest losses, please reach out to us and we'll be able to link you up. And if WFP goes into that direction, also that will be a good opportunity. Over.
Gracias, Conjit. La verdad que tenemos muchas preguntas específicas sobre productos. Como les dijimos, vamos a enviar este material, lo vamos a publicar en el portal de exportaciones de la Cancillería. Lo que también podemos hacer es enviar por escrito al PMA el listado de consultas y después también compartirlos con ustedes. Y como les decía, hay muchas preguntas específicas que tienen que ver con el proceso de registro, cómo uno ofrece sus productos, que las vamos a cubrir el día jueves. Les pido disculpas si hay algunos productos que quedaron afuera de las consultas, tenemos varias, pero como les decía, vamos a tratar de hacérselas llegar de manera específica al PMA y después las preguntas a ustedes directamente, las respuestas a ustedes directamente. Yo creo que con estos comentarios podemos concluir la sesión de hoy. Agradecemos de manera especial a John, a Conjit. No sé si quieren agregar algún otro comentario final.
Yes, I would like to come in. From today's session, just the range of questions tells us that there's great enthusiasm out there. There's a great will to want to come on board and become a partner of WFP. And we're here with open arms. We are definitely looking for new suppliers. What we will try to do to try and avoid a number of questions on specific commodities is we'll try to provide the list of commodities that we buy. It's an enormous list. But the ones we shared with you are basically the primary ones, but there are others. Then if there are commodities which come close to what we're using, we do have this panel which reviews introduction of new commodities into the WFP food basket. And that's discussed basically on a monthly basis. So we will prepare that. But just to say, once again, there's great enthusiasm, a lot of questions, a lot of will, and we look forward to the next session, hoping to answer all the questions. If not, we're ready to take all those questions. Those that we cannot take on Thursday, we most definitely will come back with a written response. I have the question here on the rice, which I will most definitely have a look at. But no, I think it's been a good 1 hour and a half. And I think that the next session, right into the core of the business part of it, how to become a WFP vendor, how to get on board, what's the due diligence, so on and so forth. So I asked those that came for the first session to join us for the second one, because it's going to be much more interesting. This was just an overview with an introduction. Now we'll get into the real mechanics of how the process works. Over. Tanji, would you like to say something?
Thank you, John. I just want to echo what my colleague John has said. The enthusiasm and the interest to work with WFP is quite encouraging. We are definitely, as I said from the very beginning, the WFP undertaking in achieving the SDG goals, it's not an easy one, and we cannot do it alone. So we definitely rely on private sector who would take it as a partnership with WFP. And this meeting really opened our eyes, and we'll be better prepared on our next session on Thursday to answer some of the questions. And I definitely want to say thank you very much for your engagements. Over.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Conchit, John. Ha sido un placer. Rescato el entusiasmo, el interés que existe de los productores argentinos. Vamos a ir recogiendo de las preguntas que nos hicieron todo ese listado de productos. Creo que la mayoría lo fuimos cubriendo, pero probablemente alguno se haya quedado para despejar dudas. Incluso las podríamos hacer al inicio de la sesión de la semana que viene. Tal vez podemos preguntar específicamente, del jueves que viene, específicamente algún producto. Y bueno, y nos vamos a meter de lleno en cómo se hacen negocios con el PMA. Así que los invitamos a participar nuevamente el jueves que viene, también a las 9 de la mañana, horario argentino. Y recuerden que el link de ingreso es el mismo que utilizaron el día de hoy. No me quiero despedir sin agradecer la asistencia de nuestras intérpretes, Cinti y Florencia, que bueno, hicieron posible que podamos entender y comprender todo lo que nos han transmitido nuestros expertos. Así que les agradecemos nuevamente el interés y la presencia y nos estamos viendo el jueves. Gracias.
Okay.